赤坂さん、衝撃に備えてください。距離100、撃て。
What happened? Did the RPG-7 fire? That was when the one measuring the distance next to a shooter noticed something. The shooter's shoulder had been hit, and it was tumbling to the ground.
Sniper!
Oh, okay. Okay.
銃声はなかった。距離400以上だ。そんなのどうでもいい。撃て撃て撃て撃て。
Only their regular guns could stop the car now. The other mountain dogs fired all at once. But immediately, they realized something. The car had been hit by a hail of bullets at close range. Any normal car would have been on fire in short order. But there was nothing. This wasn't a normal car.
そりゃそうです。園崎家御用達の防弾リムジンですから。葛西 RPG を観測手が拾った。撃たせるな。
この距離で外すとでも。
Sean and Kasei were far beyond that straight road. They were in the enemy's blind spot on the other side of the hill, on top of an abandoned car. Sean was on her knees, checking the mountain dog's movements with a pair of military-grade, high-power binoculars. Kasei was lying on top of the car with a sniper rifle in his hands. Ooh, nice. Shion figured this would be where the mountain dogs would place their ambush. So the only way for them to beat the dogs was to snipe at them. Both Shion and Kasei took sniping lessons in the US during the Dan conflict. Shion too? Damn! Kasei was now aiming at the man who picked up the RPG and was trying to take position with it. Maybe we need like a Dan conflict spin-off. Sounds like a lot of it has happened in the Dan conflict. Again, the RPG wasn't fired, it was down on the ground. The two who tried to shoot were both groaning and clutching at their wounds. They were both shot in the shoulder. The wounds wouldn't kill them, but they definitely couldn't fire that rocket. The car had arrived. The mountain dog screamed and dove out of its way. Get out of the way! Kaka Asaka must have been used to driving in this kind of situation. He hit the nose of the van just right, and broke through the blockade. The van was hurled away and spun in a circle. As the mountain dogs tried to get back in the van, Sean and Kasei shot at them. This Scoponos sniper rifle is one specifically made for sniping. Therefore, its field of vision is so narrow that the sniper is unable to see their surroundings well. That's why it's always necessary to pair up with a spotter. A spotter uses powerful binoculars to probe the situation and communicate the information to a sniper. Snipers can't do their job alone. Their potential is unleashed only when paired up with a spotter equally as skilled. They tried to stand up and climb into the van, but the ultra-velocity rifle bullets pinned them down. The bullets ripped through the air, traveling faster than the speed of sound. The noise those bullets created was nothing like the sound from a normal gun. It almost sounded like the Grim Reaper himself swinging down his scythe. Furthermore, they could see the mountain dogs, but the dogs couldn't see them. Only those who actually had experience being sniped at could understand this fear. There was a driver and one mountain dog in the van. They had to leave, otherwise it would be too late. The driver made a snap judgment and slammed on the gas pedal.
どうですか? 来てるよ。運転がうまいね。あんなワゴン車なのに追い上げてくるよ。それは参りました。 応戦を頼みます。うん、任せて。
Tomitake opened a window near one of the back seats and leaned out. Hot air blew into the car. Oh! Though the car was jolting up and down on the bumpy road, he checked the mechanisms of his gun calmly. Shoot, Tomitake! Shoot! He did it naturally, as though examining his favorite camera. The gun had been taken from one of the security guards in the basement. One of the dogs in the van held the same gun in his hands. Their weapons were evenly matched. The road was no longer straight. It curved like a snake. There were some bumps and sharp curves, which made things in the car fly all over. A gunfight in this situation would be extremely difficult. Tomitake realized he'd run empty in no time if he wasted bullets. So instead of firing recklessly, he carefully waited for the right distance. And in doing so, tried to convince his enemy they were still out of range to make them close the gap. On the other hand, the Mondog couldn't take it any longer. He fired, wasting his bullets on the bumpy road. Some of those bullets hit the body of Kasei's car, making a nasty metallic noise.
富武さん、身を乗り出していては危険です。大丈夫。あんな下手くそじゃ当たらないよ。僕の生徒だったらゼロからやり直しだな。このような状況下では動きを読むんだ。挙動を予測し、弾幕で予測射撃をするんだ。当てようと思わない。弾幕に突っ込ませるようにするんだ。こういう風にね。
Bullet finds a way! Tomitake fired for the first time, after cautiously waiting for the perfect moment. Those who understood guns would be fascinated with his shooting form. His stance was so firm he didn't lose control, even in the violent burst of shots. Yet there was no unnecessary tension, and just enough slack. Despite being in such an anomalous position as leaning out from a car, Tomitake was shooting very precisely. It was nothing like what the Mondogs did earlier. He shot at just the right time, so his bullet went where he was supposed to go. It was hard to believe that they were using the same gun. Nasty metallic sounds etched themselves into the body of the van, which made the Mondogs realize just how good Tomitake was. And Tomitake, you know, maybe if you had a gun, maybe it would have been like better earlier when you were trying to escape from them and you wouldn't have been captured. But then again, if you weren't captured and all that, we wouldn't have, Sean would not have found Satoshi, so I guess it was sort of a blessing in disguise, but still. The plot needed Tomitake to be captured, so that we can have like the Satoshi development.
事故で事務屋に移ったらしいが、教官時代は不正規戦部隊の射撃教官だったと聞いたぞ。
And that one moment with Takano and Tomitake.
なんだよそれ。ってことはあいつ。
Tomitake started to aim for the driver's seat to pressure them to give up. The Mondogs could tell that they were in a predicament. Tomitake was capable of hitting his targets easily even on such a bad road. Furthermore, they were in a bulletproof limousine, while the Mondogs were in a regular van. A regular white van. Take that, white van! The van which, incidentally, was facing the limousine in the pursuit. All his shots had just been warning ones. Unless the Mondogs called off the chase, Tomitake would start shooting at them soon enough. They had no chance of winning.
大鳥湾より追跡車両。封鎖線が突破されたならそれ以上はもういい。深追いするな。富武は射撃の名手だぞ。死に急ぐな。
どうする？行かせていいのか？了解。こちら追跡車両。追跡を断念。帰投する。
諦めたようだね。向こうは速度を落としたよ。あれだけの銃撃戦をしたのに全く平静なままですね。相当の場数をお見受けします。訓練の賜物さ。 諦めたようだね。向こうは速度を落としたよ。
He was as easygoing as ever, even after a gunfight. Akasaka felt like he was finally getting to know Tomitake for the first time. Nothing like Nothing like bonding over a gunfight, I guess.
ご無事でしたか。連絡が取れず心配しておりました。
Tomitake was making a call from a telephone booth outside of Okinomiya. Man. You know, Akasaka, Shion, Kasai, Tomitake, Irie, they surely have had quite an adventure here, trying to rescue him and getting into these fights. Meanwhile, the club members, they are having the time of their life. I mean, you know, if the basement incident didn't happen before, I'd say that the club members had it pretty good so far. Like, they had it pretty easy on this one so far. That was why he could make the call. Meanwhile, these guys in Shion are having a rough time. I mean, they're succeeding, of course, but they are fighting against like such artillery. Tomitake had called Tokyo immediately. He told Tokyo that there were some spies from the Mountain Dogs within Tokyo's research division, which is how they found out where he was. He also told them he was captured, but that he had escaped. He told them that they were fooled by the diversion, and that they were on the mountain as they spoke. While he was captured, Major Takano, the ringleader, had hinted at the existence of the mastermind she was working for, etc. He explained everything that he had learned thus far.
入江機関の早急な鎮圧を。彼らはすでに地上での発砲を繰り返しており、このままでは村人に発覚するのも時間の問題です。番犬の緊急出動を強く要請します。
もしもし、調査部の岡だ。無事でよかった。番犬はすでにHinamizawa地区の南方30キロで空中待機してる。こちらも上層部に鎮圧命令を求めていたのだが、石頭どもが事なかれ主義で渋りやがってな。だが君が無事ならば話が早い。君の話はすぐにトップに説明する。許可はすぐ出るだろう。20分以内に番犬は到着する。つい今、高野三佐と小野木兄に逮捕命令が出たぞ。入江機関の即時制圧と山犬への武装解除命令も出た。君のおかげだぞ。でかした。
Tomitake walked out of the telephone box. Christ. Like, with that kind of call, I guess we can say that we achieved our mission. We did it, right?
話はつきましたか？
ええ、番犬部隊が鎮圧に緊急出動するそうです。すでに近くに空中待機していて、20分ほどで吸収するそうです。
どの程度に強いんですか？その番犬という連中は。
山犬が機密保持のための多目的部隊だとしたら、番犬は戦闘のみに特化した精鋭部隊です。装備も人材も比べ物になりません。おそらくあっという間でしょうね。
Akasaka looked at his watch. It was about 12:30. The bloodhounds would arrive in about 20 minutes. Akasaka remembered how hungry he was. It was lunchtime already. Alright, well, time for some burgers. If he was brave enough, he would head to a noodle shop, and by the time he was done, everything would have ended. For the Mountain Dogs, who fought well until the last possible moment, it was ending rather too soon. They were in an area where rice fields and a residential area mix. It was the border of Kinomiya. Alright, well, I get the thing that it's safe to say that, I think it's safe to say that Takano's mission of, destroying the village has failed right now. Though, like I joke about going for some burgers right over here, but you know, the club members are still out there, like fighting for their lives. I mean, we prevented the destruction of the village, but you know, let's see about having the kids survive too. So the sun was covered by a thin layer of silver clouds, and a cool breeze was blowing. It looked like it might even rain a little. The two of them couldn't even remember how many times their lives were threatened that day. They wanted nothing more than to let the rain soak their bodies. After a while, Akasaka spoke.
どうしますか富武さん。
んどうするって何をだい？
私、南沢へ戻ろうと思っています。まだみんな、戦ってる。
そうだね。でもいいのかい？一度はくぐり抜けた視線だよ。
リカちゃんが、待ってる。まだ約束は果たし終えていません。
なら、戻ろう。僕も用事があってね。ちょうど戻ろうと思ってたんだよ。赤坂さんはヘリの旅の経験はあるかい？乗せてもらえることになってるんだ。
They watched the breeze blowing over the rice fields for a while, then returned to the bullet-ridden car. The car started up quickly, and they drove it back the way it came. It was only noon. There was still plenty of time before the Watanagashi festival began. Clouds covered the sky, and it suddenly grew cool. It was going to rain a bit, according to Okunogi's intuition. He already knew that their enemy had broken through the blockade, but he hadn't told Takano about it. By then, it really didn't make any difference if she knew or not, and he also wanted to reach the top of the mountain. Okunogi was only thinking about one thing. He was thinking about the enemy's commander, who made the day so horrible for him. He just couldn't accept his defeat until he saw the enemy's commander face to face. The battle was already lost. They had just had a princess who didn't think they had yet. With the rest of the mountain dogs falling to their traps and ambushes, Okunogi had ordered all units except his own to fall back from the front line and into the vehicles. The only ones left to go on were the very determined princess, Okunogi himself, and a handful of exhausted members of the old mountain dogs who could barely walk. Eventually, the slope became a little more gentle. Okunogi and his companions finally arrived at the storage shack of the foresters. The club members were already aware that the mountain dogs had been almost totally annihilated. Both the numbers and strength of the dogs had fallen far below that of the club members. Therefore, when Okunogi saw his opponents land up there to welcome them, he wasn't surprised. It was all the kids who had driven the mountain dogs to destruction that entire day. They had also fought with everything they had. Though they overwhelmed us from start to finish, they had used up all their stamina and went on their last legs as well. Still, their willpower kept them standing. A will born of the victor's honor, which God granted only to the winners.
いたわ。あるよ、おころぎ、捕らえさせなさい。
サンサ、よくもこんなざまの我々をこき使えるもんです。
何？私に逆らう気なの？
まさか逆らう気なんか最初からありませんやね。
Okunogi removed his communication unit, his taser, and all the heavy equipment he had been carrying. Then he unbuttoned his shirt and told his men to stay put as he stepped forward. Oh, are you gonna go and fist fight like the club members? He strode forward about half of this distance toward the club members.
山犬の大鳥ワンコとおこのぎだ。 お前らのリーダーに敬意を表する。名前を聞かせてくれ。
The club members looked at each other. One of them was a girl taller than the others. She couldn't be that old, but her hawk-like eyes were as sharp as a veteran soldier's. Okanagi didn't know her circumstances. Only those whose lives were threatened on a daily basis had eyes like that.
部長園崎美音。
The girl stepped forward.
いくつだ？いや、年齢なんてどうでもいい。朝からの沖宮署での騒ぎからこの山での戦いまで、すべてお前の指揮なのか？
The girl didn't answer, but her silence confirmed it more strongly than anything she could have said.
この戦はお前らの勝ちだ。まだ負けてねえと思ってるのはうちのお姫様だけさ。もう今さらどうにもならねえ。富武は封鎖線を突破。沖宮にすでに到着して東京に連絡を取っただろう。鎮圧部隊がいつここにやってくるか知らねえが、それも時間の問題だ。笑いたきゃ笑え。爪ってやつさ。
小此木、何をやってるの？その女は敵のリーダーよ。倒しなさい。
お姫様が何か言ってるが気にするな。
望みは何？
お前も大将、俺も大将だ。わかるな。
あいつ降参したんじゃないのか？
レナにはわかる。あの人は今日敵の指揮をしていたんだよ。そして部下がみんなやられた。だから「はいそうですか」って言って負けを認めるわけにはいかないの。
Alright. Keiichi, you're up. Go forward. Put him up. Put your fists up and ready for a fight.
我が身を犠牲にしてしか敗軍の将は見そげないというのですか？
いいよ。あんたが納得するようにすればいい。
感謝するぜ。
Mion took a stance. Okonogi took a stance too. Although Okonogi was nothing like Akasaka, he was still a close combat specialist. Even when exhausted, there was no way Mion could defeat him. Takano thought so too. So she thought Mion was underestimating Okonogi. But Mion knew. She knew that she was the only one who could put him at ease.
行くぜ。
Okonogi readied, launched sharp from his waist, but Mion deflected it to the side with her elbow, wrapped her arm around underneath it, wrenching it back behind him, and forced it into a hold. Oh God, Jesus. Alright, Mion. Okay. And then she twisted his arm even further. Okonogi was certain she was going to snap a bone. It was an excellent technique. She took his arm in one flowing motion. It was clear that Mion's self-defense techniques weren't spur of the moment. However, she didn't break Okonogi's arm, and instead threw him onto the ground. She didn't deliver the final blow, but rather chose to look down on him.
やるな。
小此木、何やってるの？早く制圧しなさい。
うるせえ！黙ってみてよ！こいつは大将戦だ。
Okonogi got up quickly, took a stance once again, and then swung his arm down. But Mion avoided it effortlessly, and just like she did before, she grabbed his arm and turned it around. They were in the same position as before. And just like what happened then, she didn't break his arm, but threw him onto the ground and looked down on him.
回転投げか。当て身を入れねえところを見ると実戦向きじゃねえな。むしろお上品に演武を見せる流派ってとこか。ちなみに腕を決めたとき、下がる相手の顔面に膝が入れられるぜ。
そうなんだ。 今度試してみるよ。
ミオンってすげえ。向こうの隊長と互角に渡り合ってるぞ。
ほころぎ、武器を使いなさい。何をやってるの？
行くぞ
He had a stronger drive this time. He tried to kick right through her from a step and a half away. Yet this time, Myeon stepped in to launch her own attack, jumping right towards the foot, trying hard to kick her. Myeon kept herself low as she entered close range with Okonoki, shooting out his leg trying to kick her. So of course, he went after her head. Okonoki raised his right arm to elbow her in the skull. But this time, Myeon rose up, using both hands to keep his arm from swinging down. Unlike the flowing motion from earlier, this was simply a contest of strength. His physique was overwhelmingly superior to hers, so she couldn't win that test of strength. But suddenly, Myeon let go and allowed Kokonogi's elbow to come down. Then, she stepped to the side. It's another repeat of before. Kokonogi's arm was held to his back, and he ended up in the same position. Okay, but what came after was different. Kokonogi's face lowered as Myeon lifted his arm up high. And then she swiftly brought her knee to his face. It was exactly the technique that Okonogi told her about just earlier. And once again, he is down to the ground.
そうだ。飲み込みが早いじゃねえか。おめえ、戦略、戦術、そして戦闘、すべて三拍子揃ってるぜ。おめえみてえなやつが俺の役をやるべきなんだよ。山犬みてえなクソどもの隊長をな。
Hell, we can have like a Myeon joins the Bloodhounds arc if we want.
ごめんだね。あんたらみたいなネクラそうな秘密部隊の隊長なんて。
Myeon scoffed. Okonogi took it with a smile too. He wasn't trying to be humble. It was just his pure reaction.
そうだな。お前ほどの器なら、日本の不正規戦部隊長なんてもったいないぜ。サスでもデルタでもスペツナズでも、どこでも最高の人材になれるだろうぜ。何しろ。
サス？デルタフォース？くだらないね。そんな退屈なところじゃ、私を飼いならせやしないよ。
そうだろうな。そうだろうよ。なら聞かせてくれ。お前ほどのやつなら何の隊長を望む？
隊長なんて興味ないね。部長でいいね。
部長、英国情報部あたりってとこか。妥当だな。
ダメダメダメ、なってないね。
Leader of the club is good enough.
あのね、私がやりたい部長はたった一つ。南沢文庫の我が部の部長だけさ。罰ゲームのない戦いなんてごめんだね。口先の魔術師前原圭一、カーイーモードの竜宮レナ、トラップ使いの里子に萌え落としのリカちゃん。
Charming and tiresome, my god.
そして期待の新人フルで羽生。これだけ揃ってなけりゃ世界のどこだろうと退屈だね。
We're gonna find a good title for Hanyu as well.
勝てねえ。勝てねえよ。
She seems like Hanyu seems to be an all-rounder. Like she does well with traps. She has a way with words, given that she is a goddess and all that. She is pretty good at the strategizing and all that, and well, I think that she has the adorableness of Rika as well that she can use.
勝てるわけねえやね。
Okonogi! しっかりなさい。
Takano yelled at him, but Okonogi didn't hear it.
これでウォーミングアップはいいだろう。次の一撃でぶち抜いてやるぜ。当たったら死ぬぞ。覚悟しな。
キナ、あんたに似合いの最後をくれてやるよ。あんたが欲しいと思ってる決定的な最後をくれてやるよ。
よく言ってくれた。よく言ってくれたぜ。
Okonogi took about 5 steps backwards and breathed deep. His body twisted as he gathered all his spirit into his right fist. Just as he said, this next attack would be for real. He was putting everything he had into this one final blow. Mion narrowed her eyes, preparing to parry the blow with her side. The sky began to stir. Oh, the skies have split. They both felt raindrops on their foreheads.
行くぜ。殺すからな。殺しに来いよ。
あんたのお祈りが済んだらいつでも来な。
That one tense moment was suddenly brought to an end. He dashed forward from a low position, just like a runner from a starting line. Then he added a twist from his body into the blow, as his right arm roared with all his power. A bolt of lightning punctuated that moment in time, burning the moment into our eyes. In that moment, Mion's stance hadn't changed at all. No, maybe she moved like lightning in the moment it struck. We had to recall the moment burned into our eyes to review the scene. Okonogi had swung with his right fist, which had enough power to shatter Mion's bones. So what if 100% of his power was directed back at him in a counterattack? When the lightning struck, Okonogi's body had been flying through the air. It was a legendary technique in Japanese martial arts, passed down in judo and aikido. The air throw. It looks as if one is being thrown without his opponent even touching him. A miraculous technique that occurs at lightning speed. Of all the techniques Mion possessed, it was the most sublime, advanced technique she could administer on the defeated General Okonogi. The feeling of freedom while flying in the air is more memorable than the impact of hitting the ground. Supposedly. When Okonogi hit the ground behind Mion, a heavy rain suddenly began to fall. Is that a helicopter I hear? Oh! Just as it did, a massive helicopter appeared from the other side of the mountain. The helicopter's rotors stirred up the air and blew away the raindrops like in a tornado. The rotor sounded much like a tornado too. A rope uncoiled from the rear of the helicopter, and soldiers came sledding down it, one after another. The onlookers were stunned for a moment before realizing what they were seeing. It was the bloodhounds. The bloodhounds that Tomitake got called in. Having realized how bad the situation had become, Okonogi returned to the other members of the Mountain Dogs. Alright, well, you know, Okonogi, you proved yourself to not be just a mindless hack, that's for sure. You have something in you. So, with that being said, may your years in the future be filled with a lot of reflection and gaining some wisdom. Nothing was going their way anymore. Now, when it comes to Takano, let's have a talk. The Mountain Dogs ran down the slope and disappeared into the woods. They dragged Takano with them, who wouldn't understand what was going on. A voice echoed from a speaker attached to another helicopter, circling around the mountain.
入江機関の全職員に次ぐ本日1蓋302入江機関の全権限は凍結され上級また同時刻上級司令部は入江機関全職員の武装解除を命じた山犬中隊全隊員は直ちに武装解除し入江診療所裏駐車場 もしくは山頂資材置き場に集合せよ。これに応じない場合、国内法及び自衛隊法に基づき厳正に対処することをここに通告する。
Bloodhound members continued to slide down the rope from the helicopter. Even at a glance, they were very different from the Montauk's. They were armed more heavily, and the guns they had were much larger. Such things clearly differentiated the two units.
これで私たちの勝ちですの？わかりませんのです。僕も初めてのことなので、勝ったのかわからないのです。
Satoga and Rika sat down and hugged each other. They were both soaked in rain, but they still sat down in the mud. Mion stood sullenly in the rain as the leader of the winning team. The Mondogs had abandoned the field. They all ran away with their tails between their legs. Keiichi and Rena ran over to Mion.
ミオン、
みーちゃん、終わったね。
ああ、これで部活は終わりさ。
リカちゃんも無事、みんなも無事。みーちゃん、勝ち取れる最高の勝利を勝ち取ったんだよ。
ミオンがみんなを率いたんだ。ミオンのおかげの勝利さ。
But Mion didn't seem to be listening to Keiichi and Rena. Instead, she mumbled to herself.
私さ、部活の罰ゲームって好きなんだよね。
え？
部活ってさ、残酷だよね。仲間で戦い合ってさ。つまりそれは、その子がビリだってみんなが見下すことなんだよね。
見下してなんかいねえだろ。楽しく罰ゲームをして、それでおしまいさ。
そう。罰ゲームで楽しく遊んで、それで終わり。敗戦の将の責任をさ。楽しくみんなで笑って、それでチャラにできるから好きなんだよね。負けた本人も含めて、みんなで笑って。
誰も傷つかない。みんなで楽しく笑って、おしまいにできる。
おこのぎってやつは、私に投げ飛ばされて、叩きのめされなきゃ自分の罪がさ、見そげないって思ったんだよね。そりゃさ、今日何度もヤバい目にあったよ。殺されそうに何度もなったよ。でもさ、もう終わりでしょ？ゲームセットなんだよ。なのに、彼らにはチャラにする罰ゲームがないんだね。
Mion might have realized something when she threw Okunogi. Keiichi didn't think anybody else could understand that.
ミオンが何を言ってるのかわからねえよ。もう忘れろ。あいつらはもう終わりさ。
そうだね。これでもうすべて。
みんな生きてる。誰も怪我してない。今は最高のハッピーエンドを喜ぼうよ。
そうだな。誰もやられなかった。
I don't know about that. I mean, we gotta confront Takano, that's for sure. I mean, what is she gonna do now? Like, if we leave her to her device... Well... I guess her being caught by the Bloodhounds would be an ending and all that, but... Much worse would it be if she escapes, so let's be careful about that.
最高のハッピーエンドじゃねえか。
While they hadn't yet confirmed Shion and Kasei's safety, they were correct. This was the happy ending that they had all been fighting for. However, Mion was still thinking. I mean, you know, right now, I ain't keeping my breath in. I'm inhaling and I'm not exhaling until this is over with Takano. That we resolve it with her. And you could say that I've been keeping my breath in for like many years at this point, ever since I started this story. So, I'm not gonna be exhaling until this is all over. But as soon as the flash of the lightning disappeared, her understanding vanished as well. All she could remember was that she noticed something very important, and that shortly after, she completely forgot about it. She could only feel a great sense of loss. The bloodhounds soon surrounded the club members. At first, they thought the club members were their enemies, but when Tomitake appeared, he explained the whole situation. The commander of the bloodhounds appeared to beg the club members not to say a word about anything, as it was a politically sensitive incident. It was amusing to see a man like that beg while carrying all those weapons. Of course, they had no intention of talking to anyone about it. Once it had ended, it all felt like a bad dream. If, on the following day, someone asked them what they had been doing, they might not even remember it. This day was that unrealistic for them. So even if they were asked, they wouldn't say a word.
リカちゃん、無事でよかった。
赤坂、無事でよかったのです。み。
こっちも大成功だったよ。そっちもみんな無事かい？入江診療所はすでに彼らが制圧したそうだよ。山犬の隊員たちも続々と投降に応じてる。隠れていた入江先生ともう一人の少年も彼らに保護されたそうだよ。
監督も無事ですのね。よかったですわ。少年？はて、どなたでございましょうね。富田さんか岡村さんあたりが巻き込まれて怪我でもしたのかしら。さとこ、本当によかったのです。
Rika's smile made it clear on what she had been going through. Someone could only smile like that after a long and exhausting struggle. Satoko had no idea what that smile meant, how much time would be needed to make her understand. Still, Irie will do something about it. For sure, he will bring Satoko's Nini back home.
そうだ、さとこ。今日のお注射をしていないのではないですか？お注射をしないとダメなのです。あ、そうでしたわね。
I mean, Christ. Wouldn't it be like a knife, like inside the heart, for her to not only have taken the shot, but also have like Teppei come back like the day after this whole thing, and we have to go through that again. Jesus. Yeah, let's not.
こんな時にも注射をやめちゃいけないなんて面倒な話ですこと。
Satoko seemed to have no idea that her medication was connected to the syndrome. Yeah, of course not. Perhaps she was already aware, but pretended not to be. I would not be surprised about that either. Rika vowed to herself that no matter how long it took, she was going to witness with her own eyes the moment her best friend finally parted with her tragic past.
このお注射も日に2回で助かりますわよね。以前の3回の時は本当に大変でしたわ。
Satoko also had no idea that Satoshi was involved in the development of her medication. Irie had said that Satoshi, as a specimen, had contributed much to Satoko's treatment. Oh. The thing that Satoshi's involvement in the cure that helped Satoko, it didn't help him like whatsoever, but it did help Satoko, which is nice. Even while asleep, Satoshi longed to ease the burden on Satoko. And those feelings must have influenced Satoko's medicine somehow. Satoko had to inject herself in the stomach. For privacy, she ran into the grove of trees to give herself a shot. There was no danger in her doing so. One after another, the bloodhounds dropped down from the helicopters. Each helicopter must have carried at least 20 to 30 soldiers. There was one helicopter at the top of the mountain. and two more halfway down the slope. Troops were pouring down from all of them, leading to the impression that the entire mountain was under the Bloodhound's control. Nobody fired their weapons even once. The Mountain Dogs had no choice but to surrender. It wasn't raining hard at all. The sky should clear up after 20 or 30 minutes. It was the volatile weather typical of early summer. Satoko soon returned and spoke to her best friend.
リカ、羽生さんの姿が見えませんわね。さっきまで一緒にいましたのに。羽生どこ？
Man. Like, a part of me thinks right now that, yeah, like I'm 99% sure that Hanyu went to confront Takano herself. But, man, wouldn't it be like a bittersweet ending that we have achieved our miracle right over here and we can go past June 1983? Which would mean that Hanyu's purpose for being here is all finished. So it would really suck if she wouldn't be here with us anymore. Kinda like the whole ghost with unfinished business. Technically you could say that we finished our business, so that surely would be a bittersweet ending, but let's hope not. It was stupid of me to think that Tokyo had sent more support. They're acting as if they'd known of their loss for a while. I was the only one who didn't know.
どういうことなの？状況がさっぱりわからないわよ、このぎ。
手詰まりってやつです。富武が呼んだ番犬が到着したんですよ。
番犬？名前は聞いたことあるけど、でも山犬と似たようなものでしょ？どうして応戦しないのよ？
ご冗談を。山犬は所詮傍聴部隊です。対して番犬は本間門の戦闘部隊ですわ。花から勝ち目なんざありませんね。
The remaining three members looked at me in exhaustion.
だいたいどうして番犬が来るのよ。富武は捕まえてるのにどうして？他にスパイがいるんじゃないの？それは誰よ？
三さ、すでに診療所が襲撃され、富武2位が奪い返されたことはご存じないのですか？
One of the three spoke up timidly, but Okonogi signaled him to shut up.
そんなの聞いてないわよ。それはいつよ？どうなってるの、このぎ？それに村から逃げられないよう封鎖部隊というのもいるんでしょ
？They aren't even responding to me anymore. I've been left behind. I'm the only one who didn't know. I'm being left out. The members looked at Okonogi, waiting for his command. Nobody is waiting for my order. Nobody even cares about my orders.
隊長、指揮者より無線です。
One of the members handed the intercom to Okonogi.
大鳥ワンダー。
隊長、各校より最終連絡です。
I can't believe that one of you is called Cuckoo.
各校を実行せよ。
各校、了解した。
指揮者を番犬が包囲中です。投降を勧告しています。いかがしますか？
指揮者。いや、太田、足立、ご苦労だったな。投降を許可する。武装解除して以後は番犬の指示に従え。
Yeah, and also good job, dollar store Amakusa. Yeah, I don't know, what the fuck was that all about? Was that really Amakusa? I'm starting to think that guy was his lost twin or something like that. Like,
指揮者了解。
各員その場で聞け。指揮者が制圧された。すでに診療所も制圧されているだろう。我々は全てのバックアップと装備を失った。 全班は壊滅。個々の隊員たちも武装解除に応じているだろう。山犬の完全敗北だ。
まだよ。なんとか東京の野村さんに連絡を取るのよ。番犬が何よ。番犬に匹敵する部隊を送り込んでくれるわ。R は生きていたのよ。終末作戦の実行は可能だわ。それをすぐに野村さんに連絡しないと。そのためにはまず東京への連絡手段を取り返すことが重要よ。こうなると村の連絡網を遮断したのが裏目に出るわね。指揮者を奪還するしかないわ。指揮者の無線で東京に連絡して応援を呼ぶのよ。幸い指揮者は今あっさり降伏してみせたから奴らも油断してるはず。おこのぎと3人も隊員がいれば十分可能よ。まだ6月19日。作戦開始は21日22日だったかしら。まだ間に合う。まだまだ間に合う。ここから巻き返すわよ、おこのぎ。すぐに指揮者の奪還を実行しなさい。なんで誰も私の言うこと聞けないの。私は3歳よ。おこのぎよりずっと偉いのよ。おこのぎの言うことは聞けて、どうして私の言うことが聞けないの。
サンサ、さっきから飛び回ってるヘリが言う通りですわ。このゲームはうちらの負けです。これ以上の往生際の悪さは互いに得になりませんね。
何を言うの、このぎ。まだよ。もうくじけるの。あなたも R が生きているのを見たでしょ。今日の一日が狂い出したのは R が死んだなんて噂が流れたからよ。でも R は生きていた。今日の一日はなかったことになるのよ。緊急マニュアルはまだ生きてるわ。女王感染者が生きている以上、改めて殺せばそこから48時間の緊急マニュアル執行可能な時間が。
サンサ、緊急マニュアルがどうこうって次元じゃもうないんですよ。もう東京は女王感染者とか、それが死んだら48時間とか、もうどうでもいいんです。終末作戦は完全に失敗しました。我々のクライアントはすでに証拠の隠滅に走り回っているでしょう。
Yeah. At this point, like I'm 99.9% sure that Nomura herself is basically just taking her briefcase, going with the helicopter, and she's saying salute to you all, including you, Takano. Like she is basically washing her hands, and she's gonna have nothing to do with this anymore. Like, you failed in this, so the operation is no longer possible. Now, Nomura is just gonna do her own thing, going somewhere and doing other heinous things.
我々の役目ももうおしまいですわ。山犬なんて面白い舞台を10年ほど指揮させてもらいました。貴重な経験ができましたわ。それも今日でおしまいです。そしてサンサ、あんたの役割ももうおしまいです。
何よそれ。私の役割。何のことよ。
サンサ、あんたの役目はその手に持っておられるスクラップ帳を育て上げることでした。
何の話よ。
I didn't expect Konoko to start talking about my grandfather's scrapbook.
hinamizawa症候群って病気があることは疑いません。だが女王が死ぬと48時間で村中が大パニックになるってのは見た者がいません。本当か嘘かなんて分かりゃしないんですよ。
バカなこと言わないで。ほら書いてあるわよ。どこのページかしら。他の類似の脳内寄生虫症の症例から類推して統計的にどこよ。こんな時に限って
I flipped through the pages of the scrapbook in a panic. I can't even remember which page I'm looking for. Okonogi slapped the scrapbook aside, and it thudded. No, it landed in a muddy puddle, so it splashed onto the ground. The open pages of the scrapbook were face down in the muddy water, and already turning color as they soaked up the mud. As I crushed down to pick up the scrapbook, Okonogi stepped on it. The splash of muddy water hit me in the face. I had to witness my precious scrapbook being stepped on and covered in filth.
サンサ、このスクラップに書いてあることが本当だろうとでっち上げだろうとどうでもいいことなんですね。真実だろうと虚偽だろうと実は誰も気にしてませんのですわ。
それはどういう意味を？
I tried to get the scrapbook from under Okonogi's foot, but I couldn't pull it out.
東京のクライアントが期待してたのはそのスクラップ帳の中身をどれだけの人間が信じてくれるかってことなんです。本当か嘘かはどうでもいい。ただ信憑性さえありゃよかったんです。
本当か嘘かどうでもいい。
そうです。どっちでもいいんです。でっかい研究所で偉い先生方が研究してこれこれこういう結果ですっていう専門用語だらけの難しい資料を作ってくれて中身などろくにわからねえ連中を騙せるだけの信憑性ってやつをそのスクラップ帳に与えることがあんたの役割だったんです。
嘘なんかじゃないわ。私と祖父が何年にもわたって研究してきて足をどけなさいよ。
The scrapbook is getting soaked through. I'm trying my best so that it's not ruined. It's no use.
女王が死んだら村は皆殺し。そういうとんでもない話をお偉方に納得させられりゃよかったんです。Hinamizawa症候群が脳みそに寄生してどうこうとかんなことは誰も興味ない。政治的アクションに使えるかどうかにしか興味がなかった。なことはあんただって十分承知していたでしょうが。そして今や誰もこんなインチキスクラップは信じやしません。このスクラップ帳に大勢がかけた。そして負けたんですわ。山犬もこのスクラップ帳に熱く張って負けた。それだけのことですね。
インチキスクラップなんかじゃない。これは真実なのよ。全部真実。おじいちゃんが調べて私が調べてそして書き上げてきた真実の研究結果なのよ。だってみんな信じてくれた。だからあんな立派な研究所を作ってくれたのよ。信じてくれたからみんなそう野村さんだってだからこそ私に声をかけてくれたのよ。この研究の進化を分かってくれるクライアントはきっと他にだっているわ。だってこの研究は人類の未来の可能性に
Okay. Okonogi got fed up and kicked me. I don't weigh much, so I fell backwards and became soaked in muddy water. My apologies. That particular reaction at the end, the kind of. Okonogi walked over and looked down at me.
幸いなことに東京のクライアントもそしてうちらもサンサにまだ期待している役割があるんですわ。おい。
One of the monk dogs handed a gun to Okonogi. Okonogi checked the cylinder and threw it over to me.
何よこれ。
サンサ、そいつで自分の頭ぶち抜いてくれませんか。
I looked at the gun. I'm used to seeing guns, working at the AD Institute as I do. I was never frightened by guns before, but for the first time, I felt scared just looking at one.
よくあるやつですわ。トカゲの尻尾ってやつです。サンサ、敗軍の将の責任ってやつで、そいつで自分の頭ぶち抜いてください。
そんな。
Nobody has ever told me to die before. Nobody has ever told me to kill myself.
クライアントもうちらも、サンサが死んでくれりゃ、サンサがあることないことやってくれたってことで、うまーく丸く終わらせられるんです。すでに東京はその準備に入ってますね。
バカなこと言わないで。そんなことできるわけ。
I'm starting to sob. My body is shaking all over.
まあ、無理ならいいんです。今のあんたにそこまで求めるのは酷でしょう。
Okonogi pulled his gun out and pointed at me. The other members, having realized everything would work out if I die, just looked at me coldly.
投降を説得するも、頑くなに拒否し、抵抗。銃撃戦になり、やむなく射殺。そっちが本当の筋書きなんです。自殺用の銃は、短くない時間、世話になったことへの俺なりの気遣いだったつもりです。
そんな筋書き嫌よ。そんなの誰が考えたのよ。
あんたがさっきから助けを求めたいって言っておられる東京の野村さんです。終末作戦が失敗した時に備え、ダメージコントロールを図る作戦ってのもちゃんと合わせて用意してあったんです。野村さんの暗号名はカッコウ、そしてサンサの暗号名はヒナでしたね。カッコウが卵をどこに産むかご存知ですか？
そんな。
カッコウの卵はよその鳥の巣に産みつけられ、そこから帰ったカッコウはですね、もともとの巣のヒナを突き落として巣を乗っ取っちまうんだそうです。巣から落ちた飛べないヒナは地面でのたくり、まあ普通は野犬や山犬に食われて殺されちまうってことですわ。
Jesus. I used the money I got from Uncle Koizumi to pay the mountain dogs, thinking I gained a reliable ally. I always thought that. Although Konogi was barbaric, he was very reliable. But my nest had been taken over.
サンサ、あんたの味方なんていなかったんです。あんたは東京のクライアントが描いた絵の通り踊って緊急マニュアルってやつを煽ってくれりゃそれで十分だったんですよ。ですがその舞台も幕が降りて、あんたにステージから退場してもらおうってことになったってことですわ。
Jesus Christ, Okonogi, you surely have been going up and down, up and down, up and down on my scale. I wasn't sure what to think of you at this point, but now you're just... Christ, man.
それ。あんたの大好きなスクラップ長。そいつを左手に抱きながら、右手で銃を拾ってください。
The scrapbook was finally returned to me, covered in mud. I held it with both hands and cried. What a joke the entire life of Mio Takano was. Right now is when I should just go back inside that chain link fence. My shaking hands held the ice cold gun.
弾は一発ですから慎重に。頭蓋骨は案外弾を滑らすって話ですわ。口を開けてその中に撃つのがよくあるやり方です。ほら、銃を持って構えて、そして死んでくださいな。
In the hills of the mountain, a single gunshot echoed. With that gunshot, members of the Bloodhounds rushed in. Okanagi and the other men raised their hands in surrender.
高野三佐も一緒でしたんが、どうしても投降は嫌だと渋りましてね。今の発砲は三佐がこっちに銃を向けたんで撃った威嚇射撃です。
レトリバー7よりリーダーおこのぎ2と山犬隊員3名を逮捕。高野三佐はこのすぐ近くを逃走中の模様。足跡が南西方向へ消えているが物資が濃い。それ以上の追跡は不能。
Oh, thank God. Thank fuck, man. Like, I
大至急応援を。高野三佐は武装している。繰り返す。高野三佐は武装している。
レトリーバーリーダーよりオール。重要手配犯の高野三佐が現在逃走中。高野三佐は武装している模様。逃走地点を中心にパトローリングで封殺せよ。
I'm running through the mountain, covered in dirt, and still holding the muddy scrapbook. I keep falling because of the mud, and branches and tree roots continue to torment me. I lost one of my shoes, so I decided to get rid of the other shoe too. And this is the first time I've had to run like this. This is the first time I've ran barefoot. This isn't the first time I felt such pain on the soles of my feet. This isn't the first time I've cried like this. Oh.
繰り返す。高野三佐、武装解除し投降せよ。逃げ場はない。山犬はすでに全員投降した。君に味方はいないぞ。
The helicopter above my head is calling out my name. I crawled into a hollow tree. I held my knees and head. The last time I ran barefoot like this was a very long time ago. My feet are bloody and swollen, and I can no longer walk. I can only cry as I bite the corner of my scrapbook. Sadness and humiliation fight for dominance in my heart. When I feel sad, I cry, and when I feel humiliated, I scratch myself to calm my anger. And I still have the gun in my right hand, the one with a single bullet in it. I have to kill myself. My death is the only thing that can bring it all to an end. Killing myself is the only way to go back to that day. But when I look at the scrapbook in my left hand, I'm assaulted by sadness and fear.
死にたくない。死にたくないよ。
Just die. Atone for your actions with your death. I recall the look in Okonogi's eyes. I know I have committed sins. There are so many sins. Too many of them. There are more sins than I can possibly atone for. But do I have to die for them? I cried again, and then noticed someone standing nearby. It's the girl whom I met when I came to Hinamizawa when the ED Institute was first open. I met this girl at the shrine when I declared war on God. This girl is the god of this place. That god looked at me and sneered, rather than sympathizing.
それでもまだ人の身を捨て神の座を求めるというのか、人の子よ。
ずいぶん久しぶりね。負けよ。このゲームは私の負けよ。人の身の分際で神に挑戦した哀れな女の末路が。
人の子よ、まだ神の座を追い求めるのか。数々の試練をまだくぐり、それでもなお神の座を求めるのか。
冗談じゃないわ。神の座なんてもう無理じゃない。
人の子よ、聞け。今こそ神になる道を示そう。そなたの右手に持つ鉄の火で己が生に別れを告げるがいい。神の座に肉の器は不要。人にその姿を認められようなどと思ってはならぬ。神とは孤独な存在。それに好んでなりたがる愚かな人の子よ。それでもなお神の座を目指すというのか。
これで私の頭を打ち抜けっていうの？そんな簡単なことで私は神になれるの？そんなにも簡単なことだったの？なら私は今まで何を積み上げてきたの？
大勢の人間の罪を背負った。その大勢の罪を今こそ己を生贄に捧げることで見そぐのだ。その勇気はたたえられ、神の座の末席を許すであろう。
何よそれ。私にトカゲの尻尾を引き受けて全員の責任を押し付けられて死ねと、そういうの？ふざけないで。そんなの嫌よ。絶対に嫌。
何故に嫌か。常に人の世で和を求めるためには一つの汚れに一つの生贄がいる。それが人の世の断り、罪のみそぎの方法ではなかったのか。そなたの望む未来に一人の少女を生贄に求めたのはそれを理解していたからではなかったのか。
わかんない話はやめて。私には何のことかさっぱりわからないわ。
それがわからぬなら所詮は人の身。神の座を求めた身の程知らずを食いよ。
食いるわ。他の人の責任をかぶって死ぬのが神になる道なんて絶対嫌。そんな神様になりたくない。私は人間でよかった。ただただ人間として生きていいよって誰かに許してもらいたかった。 生きてもいいよってそれなのになんでこんなことに。
ならばこの度の人の世の汚れをいかにして払うのか、いかにして代価を払うのか。
なんでよ。なんで誰かが責任を取らされなくちゃならないのよ。誰もが相手を利用してジョーカーを押し付け合って自分の手を汚さずに済むように立ち回り、それが人の世なの？違う。だってお父さんやお母さんやおじいちゃんと生きてきた日々にはそんなのなかったもん。みんながみんな幸せだった。誰にもジョーカーなんか押し付けなかった。どうしてその世界から私はこぼれてしまったの？どうして私はこんな雨の山中を泥まみれになりながら一人でさまよってるの？私はどうしてこれが私の罪に対する。分かってた。うっすらと気づいてた。何か大切なものを間違えて、でもそれを認めたくなくて取り返しがつかないところにまで来て初めて後悔した。自分の罪に対するこれが報いなのね。
人の世はそなたに罪のみそぎを求めるだろう。この度の汚れはそなたを生贄に捧げることで払われよう。それが人の世の払い方なれど、我は人にあらず人を超える存在にして欠けたる輪を埋める存在、人の罪を許す存在。人の罪は人には許せぬ。我こそが人の子の罪を許そう。
I forgive you. Demanding a sacrifice be paid for sins isn't the way of the human world. It's the way of demons. So this is not the world of man. This is a world of demons, created by man and the demon infesting them. Humans cannot end that way of their world. So I became a god to grant that end. It was over 1,000 years of pain. I wanted to come down from this place. I desired a world where God doesn't need to make peace. And finally, after 1,000 years' time, I have found that fragment. Come, child of man. I'll forgive your sins in my name. Kneel and repent. Ask for forgiveness. Then you shall receive it. God will forgive you. God will forgive your human sins. The God in the form of a little girl walked up to me and reached out. As I knelt and looked down, she touched my head. I heard voices in the distance. And then I saw a girl standing in front of me. She's one of Mion's club members, my most hated enemies. Shit. She's found me. The rain had already ceased. I decided to come out of the hollow tree. After the rain, it had grown so humid. I was starting to sweat all over. I am soaked in sweat, mud, and rain. I feel filthy. I've been bitten by mosquitoes, and my body is itching all over. This is why I hate the mountains.
声を上げてはダメよ。
I pointed a gun at her. The girl just looked at me calmly, as if she didn't see it. At the very least, she did follow my order. What should I do? Should I take her as my hostage? I only have one bullet. How long can I keep running for?
羽生！どこだよ！参ったな。マジで迷子だぞ、あいつ。
見つけましたわ。羽生さん。羽生、一体今までどこへ。
本当に最後の最後までついてないわね。いや、あるいはついてるのかしら。最後の最後で一矢報いることはできそうね。みんな、これが何かわかるわね。銃よ。身動きしちゃダメよ。これで状況は逆転ね。
くそ、なんてこと。
ミオンちゃん、他の誰かを撃たれたくなかったら一歩前に出なさい。
ダメだよ、みーちゃん。
Mion stepped forward quietly. She certainly has a lot of courage. No wonder she is their leader.
あなたのおかげで私はもうめちゃくちゃよ。私を殺そうとこの山中に怖いお兄さんたちが歩き回ってるわ。どうせ私は許されない。でもこのままではあまりに悔しいわ。だからね、せめてお返しをしてやりたいの。
偉そうに言ってるけど、その銃に弾が一発しかないのは知ってるぜ。
その通りよ。でもその一発でミオンちゃんが死んでしまうかもしれないとは考えない？
高野、ミーを撃つ気ですか？
誰も動いちゃダメよ。焦って撃ったら誰に当たるかわかんないんだから。
みんな私の後ろに隠れてて。
勇敢ね。誰かを撃たれるくらいなら自分が撃たれようという自己犠牲？
まあね、拳銃の一発でそうそう人間くたばるもんじゃない。当たりどころにもよるだろうけどさ。
驚くわ。なんて勇気なの。みんなに代わって私に撃たせようってこと。言っておくけど、銃声がすれば怖いお兄さんたちが殺到するだろうから、それを恐れて私が発砲しないなんてのは今の私にはないわよ。
じゃあ撃てばいいよ。ただしその一発を撃った後、私の仲間はあんたを八つ裂きにするよ。
望むところよ。人を呪わばなんとやら。おこのぎを屈服させるほどの名将と相打ちならそれも悪くないわね。